Hi, this is an honest review of the HXW or Avatar PD705 sample pad. This is a surprisingly good pad for its price range, and in my opinion, it's a welcome addition to the budget sample pad market. Before I get into it, I'll do a quick demonstration to show you the sounds of the pad. So all in all, the internal sounds in this pad are very good. They are mostly for drum and percussion sounds. There are some other effect sounds that you can find in there too. This pad allows for custom sampling that you can add using the Wave Manager software that you need to download from the HXW website. This will allow you to add samples from your own computer. It will generate a file that you put onto a USB stick. For more information, you can check the link in the description to our website for a more in-depth review, which shows you how to do this. So this pad certainly does not compare in features to the Roland SPD SX or the Alesis Strike Multipad. It's definitely a much more budget model, which has more basic features. But I think it's like comparing apples to oranges to compare this pad against the higher end models. This is at a very affordable price. You get all the basic features you need, such as the ability to load samples via USB. You can connect it to your computer via MIDI, either MIDI to USB, as well as the classic 5-pin connectors. You can also attach external triggers and foot switches to it. This is quite a responsive pad. It's velocity sensitive and it can detect very slight hits. I've seen pretty mixed reviews of this pad online, and I think some of the negative reviews are unnecessarily critical for a pad in this price range, to be honest. Some people have said that there's crosstalk in between pads. That is something I have not noticed whatsoever. One thing to note is that if you hit the corner, based on the sensitivity setting I have here, quite likely nothing happens. But if you hit anywhere near the center, it does. I've seen other pads before where if you hit one pad, that one goes off. That's what crosstalk really is, and I have not really seen that with this pad at all. The sample pad design looks great. There's 6 pads that you see in front and 3 at the top, which you can play with the shoulder of your drumsticks or the tip if you really want to. You can alter the settings of the kit using the Wave tab. The LED screen and controls are pretty easy to use. It's pretty basic functionality. The OK and the select and up and down arrows were a little bit counterintuitive at the start, but you do get used to this pretty quickly. The buttons here are also glow in the dark, which is quite useful for when you're playing at night. At the back of this device, you have a DC input for the power cable to power the device. And then there were 4 inputs. You can use 2 dual inputs for external triggers, or if you get splitters, you can connect 2 more. So you can connect a total of 4 external triggers. You can also add 2 foot switches to it. There are 2 audio outputs at the back, right and left, where you can output the sound from the sample pad to an external amplifier or PA system. You can use both the right and left outputs for a stereo signal, or you can use just the left output for mono. There's a USB B slot, which can be used to connect to your computer for MIDI control. You can use this to trigger drum samples or VST drum libraries from a DAW on your computer, such as Ableton Live or Logic. The USB-A slot is used to load samples as well as to update firmware on the device. There is also classic 5-pin MIDI in and out ports as an alternative to using USB MIDI control. You can also connect an auxiliary cable to play music from an external device such as a phone, like music streamed from your phone. There is no volume control on this, so you need to control that from the actual sound source. Even though it took a bit to figure out, loading samples actually worked pretty seamlessly for me. Once they're loaded onto the device, you can switch between kits very fast. For example, I added a new kit via USB and that will come up as the 31st kit. So I'll show you an example of that. The kit loading is very fast. With the Elisa Sample Pad Pro, it used to take a very long time to switch between kits. That's not a problem on this percussion pad, which is very welcome. You can also record your playing, and a metronome can be turned on using the click track button, or the click button. You can alter the tempo of that using the wheel. So recording is quite simple. Simply press the record button, press OK, and when you're finished, press the OK button again. You can then loop this recording later on and assign it to a specific pad, like so. To do this, go to the loop section. So, for example, I want to assign this to pad 6, which is here. I press OK on the pad 6. I then scroll down to the MIDI field. When you record, you effectively create a new MIDI file on your device. You use the wheel to then select the MIDI file that you recorded. In this case, it was MIDI file 3. Then when I hit pad 6, that loop will start. When I hit it again, it stops. When I hit it again, it continues on from where it left off. Okay, so the looping functionality is very basic. It's not amazing. You might get good use out of it for very basic use, but you do not have the ability to tweak it or to add effects. So that is definitely a disadvantage of this device. There are some very basic effects on this device. Just go down to the effect menu. We have EQ, reverb, and limiter. Now that's all that's available on this device. The EQ just allows you to increase or decrease the high end or low end. For example, we can switch that on. Now I'm decreasing and increasing the high end on the EQ. Same for the low end. There are 3 types of reverb: room, studio, and stage. The main one that I would recommend to use is room. That's really the only usable one that I think. The other ones are very much just for effects. Here's what the studio sounds like. As for sampling, there is a lack of wave editor within the device, so if you want to add samples, you need to make sure they're exactly as you want. on your computer before you transfer these. So therefore you cannot change start and end points of samples. It just plays what you have in. All in all, I think this is a really good entry-level pad. We've been covering electronic drum pads for quite a while, and the entry-level market has been quite limited for a long time. This is quite a welcome addition. It has all the basic features you need. Yes, it does lack certain things like effects, ability to loop on the fly. It does not have that like the phrase looping on the Octapad would have, but it is still quite good. If you want a drum pad next to your drum kit so that you can play electronic samples and so on, then this is quite a good option. It's pretty sturdy, well designed, and I would recommend it. So be sure to check the links in the description on places that you can buy it. And we've also linked to the HXW website where you can download firmware updates and the user manual for this if you want. And yeah, if you have any questions about the device, then be sure to ask in the comment section below. Thank you.